Sung stood at the edge of the observation deck and watched the ships float past the massive windows. Orbital Station 12 was the largest trading hub in this sector of space. Ships came here to be bought, sold, or broken apart for parts. Sung had been coming here for 10 years, ever since he started his salvage business. Today he was looking for something cheap, something nobody else wanted. His sister's voice came through his earpiece. "Are you really going to bid on something? We barely have enough credits to pay for fuel." "That's why I need something cheap, me," he replied. "If I can find the right ship, we can strip it for parts and sell them. One good find and we're back in business." Me was 3 years younger than him, but she acted like she was his mother. She was also the best mechanic he had ever known. Their partnership had survived bad deals, broken engines, and one very angry customs officer. But their last job had gone wrong, and now they were almost broke. The auction hall was crowded with beings from across the galaxy. Tall merchants stood in groups, whispering to each other. Small furry traders climbed over seats to get better views. Officials watched everything with their many eyes, taking notes on glowing tablets. Sung found a seat near the back and waited. The first few ships were boring. Transport vessels with engine problems, mining ships that had seen better days, a luxury yacht that had been damaged in an asteroid field. The prices were too high for his budget, and he let them pass. Then the auctioneer announced the next item. Lot number 47, the vessel known as the Wandering Silence. Classification unknown. Origin unknown. Status non-functional. Starting bid 500 credits. A huge hologram appeared above the stage, showing a ship unlike anything Sung had seen before. It was massive, at least twice the size of a standard cruiser. Its hull was dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The design was smooth, almost organic, with no visible weapons or engine ports. The hall went silent. Sung looked around. Nobody was moving. Nobody was raising their hand to bid. 500 credits was nothing. He could buy a broken ground vehicle for that price. "Is something wrong with the display?" he muttered. A merchant nearby heard him and leaned over. His face was tight with worry. "Human, do not bid on that ship." "Why not?" "It is cursed. 3 owners in the last 50 years, all dead within weeks of taking possession, all aliens." The merchant's voice dropped to a whisper. "The ship kills its owners." Sung looked at the hologram again. The ship floated there, silent and mysterious. He had heard stories about cursed ships before. Usually, they were just old vessels with bad wiring or toxic atmospheres. Nothing that could not be fixed. 400 credits, the auctioneer said, lowering the price. 300, anyone. 200 credits for a vessel of unknown origin. Still, nobody moved. Sung raised his hand. 200 credits. The entire hall turned to look at him. He could feel hundreds of eyes staring with confusion and fear. Whispers spread through the crowd like fire. The human bid on the death ship. Does he not know? Let him have it, let him learn. The auctioneer seemed surprised but recovered quickly. 200 credits to the human, going once, going twice, sold. And just like that, Sung owned a ship that nobody wanted. After the auction, the merchant approached him. His name was, and he had been trading in this sector for over a century. "Human, I must warn you properly," said. "This ship has a history. The first owner was a collector. He died when his life support failed, even though the ship was docked and the station was supplying air. The second owner was an explorer. She died when the ship's doors sealed and would not open for 3 days. The third owner was like me. He went inside and never came out. We found his body near the central console with no injuries. His heart simply stopped." Sung listened carefully. "All aliens, no humans have owned it. No human has been foolish enough to buy it until today." "Then maybe that's the answer. Maybe the ship doesn't like aliens." Stared at him with his large eyes. "You think this is a joke? I am trying to save your life." I appreciate the warning, Sung said, but I've spent 10 years buying ships that nobody wanted. I'm still alive. Maybe I know something others don't. He walked away, leaving shaking his head in disbelief. Mi was waiting at their small shuttle. Her arms were crossed, and her expression was not friendly. You bought the death ship, she said. You heard. Everyone heard. The whole station is talking about the crazy human who bought the Wandering Silence. They're already taking bets on how long you'll survive. Sung smiled. Then let's make them lose their money. Come on, let's go see what we bought. The Wandering Silence was docked in a remote section of the station, far from other ships. As Sung and Mi approached in their shuttle, he got his first real look at the vessel. The hologram had not done it justice. Up close, the ship was even more impressive. Its hull was covered in patterns that looked almost like writing, though he could not read them. The metal seemed to shift colors slightly as they got closer, from black to deep purple to blue. It's beautiful, Mi admitted. Creepy but beautiful. They docked at the main airlock and waited. According to the auction records, the ship had no power. They would need to cut their way inside. But when Sung touched the airlock controls, something happened. Lights flickered on inside the ship. A soft hum filled the air. The airlock door slid open smoothly, as if it had been waiting for him. Mi grabbed his arm. That's not possible, the ship was dead. Everyone said it had no power. Sung stepped inside. The corridor beyond was dimly lit with soft blue lights that seemed to follow his movement. The air was clean and fresh, better than the recycled air on the station. Stay close, he said. They walked through the ship slowly. Every room they entered came alive as they stepped inside. Lights turned on, screens flickered, systems hummed with power, but only when Sung was near. When he moved away, the rooms went dark again. It's following you, Mi said. The ship is reacting to you specifically. They reached the central control room. It was larger than most ship bridges, with a single command chair facing a curved console. The walls were covered in more of the strange writing. Sung walked toward the console. His heart was beating fast, but he was not afraid. He felt something strange instead, something like recognition, like coming home after a long journey. He reached out and touched the console. The entire ship exploded with light. Every system came online at once. Screens displayed information in languages he could not read. The engines hummed with power that vibrated through the floor. And then a voice spoke. It was old and tired, like someone waking from a very long sleep. Compatible user detected. Initiating full system activation. Welcome aboard. We have been waiting for you. Mi stared at her brother with wide eyes. Sung, what did you do? He did not answer. He could not. Because for the first time in his life, he had no idea what was happening. He only knew one thing for certain. This ship had chosen him, and nothing would ever be the same again. The voice from the console faded into silence, but the ship remained alive around them. Blue lights pulsed gently in the walls, almost like breathing. Screens displayed streams of data in a language that looked like flowing water turned into symbols. Mi pulled out her scanner and pointed it at the nearest wall. Her device beeped and flickered, then went dark. My scanner just died, she said. The ship's energy field is too strong. Sung stood in front of the main console, staring at the strange symbols. He did not understand them, but somehow they did not seem completely foreign. It was like looking at a word he had forgotten but almost remembered. Hello, he said to the empty room. You said you were waiting for me. What does that mean? The screens flickered. The symbols rearranged themselves slowly, forming new patterns. Then the voice returned, clearer this time but still weak. Apologies. Language processing requires time. Your speech patterns are being analyzed. Please wait. Mi moved closer to her brother. It's learning Korean, or whatever language we're speaking. This AI is adaptive. Several minutes passed. The ship hummed around them, and occasional clicks and whirs came from deep within the walls. Then the voice spoke again, and this time it was smooth and clear. Language processing complete. I can now communicate properly. My designation is unclear in your language. Previous owners called me the Wandering Silence. You may use that name if you wish. What are you? Sung asked. Where did you come from? I am a vessel created by the architects. My construction date is approximately 12,000 standard cycles before the current galactic calendar began. I was built to serve as an exploration and diplomatic ship. Mi's jaw dropped. 12,000 years. That's impossible. The oldest ships in the galaxy are maybe 2,000 years old. Galactic civilization isn't even that ancient. Current galactic civilization, the AI corrected. There were others before. The architects were the greatest of them. They built wonders across 1,000 worlds. They sought to unite all intelligent species in peace and cooperation. They are gone now. Sung felt a chill run down his spine. What happened to them? The lights in the room dimmed slightly. When the AI spoke again, its voice was heavy with something that sounded almost like grief. They were destroyed, hunted, erased from existence. Their technology was scattered or buried. Their history was forgotten. Only a few of us remain, waiting in the darkness for someone who could wake us. Why me? Sung asked. You killed the others who tried to own you, the aliens who bought you at auction. Why did they die and why am I different? I did not kill them intentionally. My systems are designed to respond only to compatible users. When non-compatible beings attempted to access core functions, my defensive protocols activated. I could not control it. The ship protected itself. Compatible users, Mi repeated. What makes someone compatible? The main screen changed. A holographic image appeared in the center of the room, floating in the air. It showed a humanoid figure, tall and graceful, with 2 arms, 2 legs, and a face that looked remarkably familiar. The architects, the AI said, my creators. Sung stared at the image. The being looked almost human. The proportions were slightly different, the features a bit more refined, but the basic form was the same. If he saw this being walking down a street on Earth, he might think it was just an unusually tall person. They look like us, he whispered. Yes, when I scanned you upon entry, I detected a biological compatibility of 94%. You are not architects, but you are close enough. Your species shares genetic markers that my creators used as a baseline for compatible users. No other species in current galactic civilization has this compatibility. Mi looked at her brother with wide eyes. Are they saying humans are related to these architects somehow? Unknown, the AI replied. The connection may be coincidence, or it may be something more. The architects seeded many worlds with life during their reign. Perhaps your world was one of them, perhaps not. I do not have that information. Sung sat down in the command chair. It adjusted automatically to fit his body perfectly, as if it had been made for him. Tell me about the previous owners, he said. What happened exactly? The first owner was he attempted to access my navigation systems. His neural pattern was incompatible. My defensive systems interpreted his access attempt as an attack. Life support was redirected away from his location. He suffocated within minutes. And the second owner? An explorer. She tried to interface with my communication arrays. My hull sealed to prevent what I perceived as contamination. She was trapped until her oxygen ran out. The third. A merchant. He sat in the chair where you are sitting now. He tried to bond with my core systems. The neural feedback was too great for his brain to process. His heart stopped from the shock. Mi put her hand on Sung's shoulder. Maybe you shouldn't be sitting there. I've been sitting here for several minutes. Nothing has happened. He looked up at the holographic display. You said I'm compatible. Does that mean I can access your system safely? Yes, your neural pattern is acceptable. I can interface with you without causing harm, but full bonding requires time and trust. We must learn each other first. Over the next few hours, Sung and me explored the ship. It was enormous, much larger than it appeared from outside. There were living quarters for dozens of people, all furnished with beds and facilities that adjusted to human proportions when they entered. There were laboratories filled with equipment whose purpose they could only guess. There were cargo bays large enough to hold several smaller ships. And there was a garden. Me stopped in the doorway when they found it. A vast chamber filled with plants that glowed with soft bioluminescence, trees with silver leaves, flowers that shifted colors as they walked past. A small stream ran through the center, its water crystal clear. "How is this possible?" she asked. "The ship has been abandoned for decades, maybe longer. How are these plants still alive?" "The garden maintains itself," the AI explained. "It was designed to provide food, oxygen, and psychological comfort for long journeys. The architects understood that living beings need more than metal walls. They need beauty." Sung knelt beside the stream and let the water run over his fingers. It was cool and clean, the best water he had tasted in years. "Why were you at that auction?" he asked. "How did you end up for sale on a trading station?" "I was discovered drifting in deep space approximately 80 years ago. Various parties have possessed me since then, each trying to unlock my secrets, each failing. When the last owner died, I was sold again, passed from hand to hand like unwanted cargo. Eventually, I reached Orbital Station 12. I have been there for 3 years waiting." "Waiting for what?" "For someone like you, for a compatible user who could finally wake me fully." Sung stood up and looked around the garden. This ship was a treasure beyond anything he had ever imagined. Not just valuable, but important. A piece of history that had been lost for thousands of years. "What can you do?" he asked. "What are you capable of?" "Many things, but there is something you should know first. I am not alone." "What do you mean?" "There are other architect vessels scattered across the galaxy, hidden in places no one has looked, waiting like I was waiting. With you as my bonded user, I can locate them. I can guide you to them." Me grabbed her brother's arm again. "Sung, do you understand what this means? If there are more ships like this one, the whole galaxy will want them. Governments, corporations, criminals. Everyone will be hunting for them, and for us." "I know," he said quietly. "This is dangerous. We should walk away, sell the ship to someone else and disappear." Sung shook his head. "I don't think I can. This ship chose me. For whatever reason, I'm the first person in 12,000 years who can use it. That has to mean something." The AI spoke again, and this time its voice was warmer. "You are the first to be truly compatible, the first to pass the threshold since my creators walked these halls. I do not know why your species exists or how you came to share so much with the architects, but I believe it is not an accident. I believe you were meant to find me." Sung looked at his sister. She was scared, he could see it in her eyes, but she was also curious. She had always been like that, afraid but too curious to run away. "We'll figure this out together," he said. "We always do." Me sighed and shook her head. "You're going to get us killed, brother." "Maybe, but at least it won't be boring." She almost smiled at that, almost. And deep within the ship, the AI that called itself the Wandering Silence began preparing for the journey ahead. It had waited 12,000 years for this moment. Now, at last, it was time to move again. 3 weeks had passed since Sung bought the Wandering Silence. In that time, everything had changed. News of the ancient ship's awakening spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Trading stations buzzed with rumors. News channels ran stories about the human who had activated technology that had killed every alien who touched it. Scientists argued about whether the ship was real or a hoax. Governments sent requests for information that became less polite with each passing day. And then the visitors started arriving. The first was a human woman named Go. She appeared at their airlock one morning, carrying a single bag and wearing the simple clothes of a scholar. Her hair was tied back in a practical bun, and her eyes were sharp with intelligence and curiosity. She said when Sung opened the door. I've spent my entire career studying architect ruins. When I heard what happened here, I took the first transport I could find. How did you know we were still docked here? Everyone knows where you are. You're the most talked about person in the sector right now. She leaned forward, her eyes bright. Please, I've dreamed of finding a working architect vessel my whole life. Let me study it. I won't get in your way. I just want to understand. Sung looked at his sister. Mi shrugged. They needed help understanding the ship's technology and knew more about the architects than anyone they had met. Come in, he said. Was like a child in a museum. She ran her fingers over the walls, photographed everything she saw, and asked the AI 100 questions. Most of them the AI could not answer. Its memory had gaps, damaged sections that had degraded over the. But some things it remembered clearly. The architects were not conquerors, the AI explained as they sat in the garden chamber. They were builders and healers. They traveled the galaxy, helping younger species develop. They shared knowledge freely. They resolved conflicts peacefully. Their goal was simple. They wanted to create a galactic community where all species could thrive together. Was taking notes, her pen moving rapidly across a paper pad. If they were so peaceful, why did they disappear? What happened to them? The lights in the garden dimmed. The AI's voice became heavy. They were betrayed. Some species resented their influence. They saw the architects not as helpers but as threats. They believed that if the architects were removed, they could take power for themselves. Which species? The ancestors of those who now control the Galactic Council, the early, the proto, and several others who have since evolved or disappeared. They formed an alliance in secret. They attacked without warning. The war was short. The architects were unprepared for such violence. They had no weapons, no military. Within a generation, they were gone. Me leaned forward. But the history books say nothing about this. The Galactic Council claims to have been founded to bring peace and order to a chaotic galaxy. History is written by those who survive, the AI said. The Council's founders destroyed all evidence of the architects. They rewrote history to make themselves the heroes. Over thousands of years, the truth was buried so deep that even they forgot what really happened. Sung stood up and walked to the stream. He stared at his reflection in the water, thinking about what he had heard. If we reveal this truth, the Council will try to stop us. Yes, they will. As if summoned by his words, a warning alarm sounded throughout the ship. The AI's voice came through speakers in every room. Alert, multiple vessels approaching. Identification, Galactic Council military escort. They are hailing us. Everyone rushed to the bridge. The main screen showed a fleet of 12 ships, led by a massive cruiser bearing the Council's symbol. A face appeared on the communication channel. It belonged to an official with compound eyes that glittered like black diamonds. I am Council Representative, they said. You are commanded to surrender the vessel known as the Wandering Silence for official examination. This is not a request. You have 1 hour to comply. Sung stepped forward. On whose authority? On the authority of the Galactic Council, which governs all civilized space. That ship is classified as dangerous technology. It must be studied and, if necessary, destroyed. It's been studied for 80 years, Sung replied. Every alien who tried to access it died. Why do you think you'll have better luck? His compound eyes flickered with annoyance. That is not your concern. You will surrender the vessel or we will take it by force. The communication ended. Sung looked at the fleet on the screen. 12 military ships against 1 ancient cruiser with no visible weapons. Can we outrun them? He asked the AI. Yes, my engines are more advanced than anything in their fleet, but they will pursue us. They will never stop pursuing us. Then we fight. That is also an option. Me grabbed his arm. Are you crazy? We can't fight the Galactic Council. I don't want to fight them, I just want them to leave us alone. He turned to the command console. Ship, you said you have defensive systems. What exactly can you do? Demonstration required. Please authorize defensive protocol activation. Authorized. The wandering silence came alive in a way Sung had not seen before. The hull began to glow with a soft golden light. Energy gathered around the ship like a second skin. On the screen, the Council fleet started to react. Ships moved into attack formation. Weapons powered up. Space appeared again. This is your final warning. Surrender now or be destroyed. I don't think so, Sung said. The Council ships fired. Dozens of energy beams streaked toward the wandering silence, enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Sung braced himself for impact. Nothing happened. The beams hit the golden light surrounding the ship and simply disappeared, absorbed, neutralized. The wandering silence did not even shake. Shields holding, the AI reported. Energy absorption at 12% capacity. Their weapons cannot harm us. On the screen, Space showed something Sung had never seen on a before. Fear. All ships retreat, commanded. Fall back to safe distance. The fleet pulled away, maintaining distance but not leaving. They were waiting, watching, trying to figure out what to do next. They'll be back, said quietly, with bigger ships and more weapons. I know. Sung sat in the command chair and felt the ship respond to his presence as if it was happy he was there. Ship, you said there are other architect vessels hidden in the galaxy. You said you could find them. Correct. With our bond established, I can detect faint signals from other dormant vessels. There are 7 that I can locate with certainty, possibly more that are too far to sense clearly. If we found them, if we activated them, would we be able to defend ourselves against the Council? Possibly, but defense is not the only option. The architects left something else behind, something more powerful than weapons. Looked up from her notes. What? The truth. Before they fell, the architects created a sanctuary, a hidden world where they stored their complete historical records, their technology, and their greatest creation, a device that can broadcast information across every communication channel in the galaxy simultaneously. If that device were activated with the correct records, every being in civilized space would see the truth about what happened 12,000 years ago. Sung felt his heart beating faster. This was bigger than ships and shields. This was about justice, about revealing a lie that had shaped galactic civilization for. Where is this sanctuary? Unknown. Its location was hidden from me to protect it from capture, but the other vessels may have pieces of the map. If we gather them together, we may be able to find it. Mi was shaking her head. This is insane. You're talking about challenging the entire Galactic Council, starting a war. Not a war, Sung said, just the truth. The Council is built on a lie. If everyone knows the truth, they'll have to face it. Or they'll destroy us to keep their secret. Maybe, but I didn't choose this, Mi. The ship chose me. For some reason I don't understand, I'm the first person in 12,000 years who can do this. If I walk away now, the truth stays buried forever. I can't live with that. His sister stared at him for a long moment. Then she sighed. You were always the stubborn one. Fine, but if we're doing this, we're doing it smart. We need more people, a real crew, and we need a plan. Stepped forward. I'm with you. This is the discovery of a lifetime. I'm not walking away from it. The AI spoke then, its voice warm with something like pride. Then we are agreed. The journey begins. First destination, the last known coordinates of Architect Vessel Designation 7. It lies in the outer reaches, beyond Council territory. Sung looked at the screen one last time. The Council fleet was still there, watching, waiting. Let them watch, he said. By the time they figure out what we're doing, it'll be too late. The wandering silence turned away from Orbital Station 12 and began moving toward open space. Its engines hummed with ancient power, and its hull glowed with golden light. The hunt for truth had begun. The outer reaches were a dangerous place. Beyond the borders of Council space, there was no law, no order, no protection. Pirates roamed freely. Ancient dangers lurked in the darkness between stars. Most travelers avoided this region entirely. But Sung had no choice. The first piece of the map was out here somewhere. They had been traveling for 6 days when they picked up the distress signal. "It's a small transport vessel," Mi reported from her engineering station. "Human registration. Looks like their engines failed." Sung hesitated. Stopping to help strangers was risky in the outer reaches. It could be a trap. Pirates often used fake distress calls to lure victims. "Ship, can you scan them?" Scanning complete. One life sign aboard. Human male. Vital signs indicate stress and exhaustion. The vessel's damage appears genuine. Engine failure caused by poor maintenance, not combat. "We should help," said. "If we leave him, he'll die." Sung nodded. "Bring us alongside." The pilot they rescued was named Nam-1. He was tall and lean, with the look of someone who had seen too much and slept too little. When they brought him aboard, he collapsed in the garden chamber and slept for 14 hours straight. When he woke, Sung was waiting with food and water. "Thank you," one said, his voice rough. "I didn't think anyone would stop, not out here." "What happened to your ship?" "Old engine, should have replaced it years ago. I was running from." He stopped and looked away. "It doesn't matter now, the ship is gone. Everything I owned was on it." "What were you running from?" One was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke, and his voice was heavy with old pain. "I used to be a military pilot. Council fleet, 12 years. I was good at my job, one of the best." He stared at the glowing plants around them. 3 years ago, my squadron was ordered to attack a civilian settlement. The Council claimed they were harboring terrorists. We followed orders. We destroyed the settlement. 3,000 people dead." Drew in a sharp breath. "Afterward, I found out the truth. There were no terrorists. The settlement had discovered old documents, archaeological records that the Council wanted destroyed. We killed 3,000 innocent people to protect a secret." He looked at Sung with hollow eyes. "I couldn't live with that. I deserted. I've been running ever since." "What kind of documents?" asked urgently. "What did the settlement find?" "I don't know exactly. Something about a species that existed before the Council. Something the Council didn't want anyone to know about." Sung and exchanged looks. The architects. The settlement had found evidence of the architects, and the Council had killed everyone to keep it hidden. "One," Sung said carefully, "we're looking for something. Something connected to that same secret. If you want, you can stay with us. We could use a pilot with military experience." One studied him for a long moment. "What exactly are you looking for?" "The truth about what the Council is hiding, and the power to reveal it to everyone." For the first time, something like hope flickered in one's eyes. "I'm in." With one at the helm, the wandering silence flew faster and more efficiently. The man had a natural gift for piloting, and the ancient ship seemed to respond to his skill. Within days, he had mastered its basic navigation systems. They found the first architect vessel on a dead moon orbiting a dying star. It was smaller than the wandering silence, a scout ship designed for exploration. Its hull was cracked, its systems dark. But when Sung placed his hand on its core, it came alive just as his ship had. The scout ship's AI was damaged, barely functional, but it had what they needed: a piece of the map to the architect's sanctuary. Over the next 2 months, they found 3 more vessels. Each one was hidden in a place no one would think to look: a cave on an asteroid, a trench at the bottom of a frozen ocean, the wreckage of an ancient space station drifting in the void. Each one gave them another piece of the map. and each one attracted more attention from the Council. The Council hunters found them near the fifth vessel's location, a fleet of fast attack ships specially designed to track and destroy architect technology. They came out of nowhere, weapons blazing. "Shields up," Sung shouted. The wandering silence absorbed the first volley easily, but these ships were different from the fleet they had faced before. Their weapons were designed to pierce ancient shields, based on technology that had been developed specifically to fight architects 12,000 years ago. "Hull integrity at 92%, the AI warned. "These weapons are partially effective against our defenses." One's hands flew over the controls. "I can outmaneuver them, but there are too many. We need to fight back." "Ship, do we have weapons?" "Yes, but using them will require a deeper bond between us. You must allow me full access to your neural pattern." Sung didn't hesitate. "Do it." Pain exploded behind his eyes as the ship's systems connected directly to his mind. For a moment, he felt everything. Every sensor, every circuit, every pulse of energy flowing through the ancient vessel. It was overwhelming and terrifying and beautiful all at once. And then he felt the weapons. They were not like normal weapons. They did not fire energy or projectiles. They fired something else, something that targeted the very structure of matter itself. "Fire," he whispered. Beams of golden light lanced out from the wandering silence. Where they touched the Council ships, metal dissolved, shields collapsed, engines failed. One by one, the attack ships went dark, disabled but not destroyed. "We're killing them," Mi said, horrified. "No," Sung replied, his voice distant as he spoke through the ship. "The architects didn't believe in killing. These weapons disable, not destroy. The crews are alive. Their life support is intact. They'll drift until someone rescues them." The remaining Council ships retreated. They had never faced anything like this. Their ancient weapons had failed. Their prey was more dangerous than they had imagined. "We need to move quickly," said. "They'll send more, bigger fleets, more powerful weapons. Then we need to find the sanctuary before they catch us." That night, as the ship traveled through the emptiness between stars, Sung received a secret communication. It came through channels so old and encrypted that the AI had to spend an hour decoding it. The message was from Elder, an ancient historian. He had heard about Sung's discoveries. He had information to share. "I am one of the few who remember," said in the message. "My family has kept the true history alive for generations, passed down in secret. The Council has hunted us for centuries, but we have survived, and we have waited for someone like you." He provided coordinates for a hidden meeting place. More importantly, he provided the final piece of the map. The architect's sanctuary was located in a nebula on the far edge of the galaxy, a place called the Shroud of Myra, where the light of stars could not reach. The architects had hidden their last refuge in eternal darkness. "We have the complete map now," the AI announced. "I can plot a course to the sanctuary. Journey time approximately 3 weeks." Sung gathered his crew in the garden chamber. "Me, 1. 4 humans against the power of the entire Galactic Council. Once we go in there, there's no turning back," he said. "The Council will follow us. They'll throw everything they have at us. Some of us might not make it." "I knew that when I signed up," one said quietly. "I've been looking for a way to make things right. This is it." Nodded. "The truth has been buried for 12,000 years. It's time to dig it up." Mi punched her brother's shoulder. "You're my family, you idiot. Where you go, I go." Sung smiled. It was the first real smile he had felt in weeks. "Then let's do this. Ship, set course for the Shroud of Myra." Course plotted. Engines engaging. "We will arrive at the architect's sanctuary in 21 standard days." The wandering silence turned toward the darkness at the edge of the galaxy and began to fly. Behind them, the Council was gathering its forces. Ahead of them lay the answers to questions that had been buried for The final leg of the journey had begun, and whatever waited in the Shroud of Myra, Sung knew one thing for certain. It would change everything. The Shroud of Myra was darker than anything Sung had ever seen. No stars, no light, just endless black that seemed to swallow everything. Normal ships would be blind here, lost in the void forever. But the wandering silence was not a normal ship. Ancient sensors pierced the darkness, reading energy patterns invisible to modern technology. The ship moved with confidence, following a path that had been hidden for 12,000 years. "I'm detecting a planetary body ahead," the AI announced. "Atmospheric readings indicate breathable air, vegetation present. The sanctuary is intact." Sung felt his heart beating faster. They were really here. After everything they had been through, they had actually found it. The planet emerged from the darkness like a dream. Green and blue, covered in forests and oceans, perfectly preserved. There were cities below, their towers gleaming with soft light. Gardens stretched for miles, filled with plants that glowed in colors Sung had no names for. "It's beautiful," whispered. They landed near the largest city. The air was fresh and clean when they stepped outside, better than any air Sung had ever breathed. Birds with silver feathers flew overhead. Small creatures watched them from the trees with curious, intelligent eyes. "The ecosystem is fully functional," Mi said, reading her scanner. "Self-sustaining. It's been maintaining itself for 12,000 years without any intervention." The city was empty but not dead. Lights still glowed in the windows. Water still flowed in the fountains. The architects had built this place to last forever, and it had. The AI guided them to the central building, a massive structure that combined technology and art in ways that took Sung's breath away. Inside, they found what they had been searching for. The historical archives stretched for miles. Millions of records preserved in crystal storage that would never degrade. Videos, documents, scientific data, personal journals. Everything the architects had created, discovered, and believed in was here. And at the center of it all was the broadcast device. It was simpler than Sung had expected. A single console with a globe of light floating above it. But the AI explained that this simple device connected to relay stations scattered across the galaxy, hidden in places no one had ever thought to look. "If activated, this device will transmit whatever information you choose to every communication system in civilized space," the AI said. "Every screen, every speaker, every device capable of receiving signals. The message will be impossible to block or ignore." Was already pulling records from the archives. "There's so much here. Records of the alliance that destroyed the architects, names of the species involved, evidence of the lies they told afterward, everything we need to prove the truth." "How long will it take to prepare a broadcast?" "A few hours, maybe less." One was standing at the window, watching the sky. "We don't have a few hours, look." Sung joined him at the window. In the darkness above, lights were appearing, hundreds of them. The council fleet had arrived. "They followed us," Mi said. "They must have tracked our energy signature through the nebula." The AI's voice came through the speakers. "Detecting 437 vessels. The entire council battle fleet is present. They are deploying into attack formation." His voice crackled over the communication system. "Humans, you have led us to the very thing we sought to destroy. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Resist, and we will make you suffer before you die." Sung walked to the broadcast console. "How long until you can prepare the transmission?" 2 hours for a complete compilation." "We don't have 2 hours. Give me something now, anything that proves the truth." "I can prepare a shortened version in 15 minutes. It will contain the most important evidence, but not all of it." "Do it." One turned from the window. "I'll buy you time." "What do you mean?" The pilot's face was calm and determined. "The wandering silence has weapons that can disable their ships, but someone needs to fly it. Someone needs to keep them busy while you complete the broadcast. Me stepped forward. I'll go with you. You'll need an engineer if anything breaks. No, one shook his head. The ship needs you here, Me. Your brother needs you. I can do this alone. He walked toward Sung and held out his hand. Sung took it, and the two men looked at each other. 3 years ago, I helped destroy innocent people to protect a lie, one said. Today, I get to die protecting the truth. That's a good trade. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. This is why I survived. This is why you found me. I know that now. He smiled, and for the first time since Sung had met him, there was peace in his eyes. It's been an honor. He walked out of the building and ran toward the wandering silence. Minutes later, the ancient ship rose into the sky, its hull glowing with golden light. On the screens inside the broadcast center, Sung watched one fly straight into the Council fleet. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had seen in 12,000 years. The wandering silence danced between the massive Council warships like a leaf in a storm. Its weapons flashed, disabling ship after ship. Its shields absorbed everything the fleet could throw at it. But there were too many enemies. Even ancient technology had limits. One by one, the Council ships adapted. They found weaknesses. They exploited gaps. The golden light around the wandering silence flickered. Broadcast ready, the AI announced, awaiting your command to transmit. Sung placed his hand on the console. Send it, send everything. The globe of light above the console blazed with sudden brilliance. Across the galaxy, every screen, every speaker, every communication device activated simultaneously. Trillions of beings saw the same thing at the same moment. The truth about the architects, the evidence of the genocide, the lies the Council had told for 12,000 years, all of it broadcast to every corner of civilized space. His face appeared on one of the screens, twisted with rage. Destroy that planet, fire the planet killer, burn it all. A massive weapon activated on the flagship. A beam of devastating energy shot toward the sanctuary world. If it hit, everything would be destroyed. The archives, the broadcast center, Sung and his crew. And then the wandering silence flew directly into the path of the beam. The ancient ship's shields absorbed the terrible energy. For a moment, it held. The golden light blazed brighter than a star. Then the light went out. The wandering silence broke apart in a flash of fire. One was gone. But he had bought them enough time. The broadcast was complete. The truth was spreading across the galaxy at the speed of light. Across Council space, chaos erupted. Species who had never questioned their government suddenly had proof of ancient crimes. Protests began. Fleets refused orders. The carefully maintained order of 12,000 years began to crack. Above the sanctuary world, the Council fleet fell into disarray. Some ships continued attacking. Others stood down. A few even turned their weapons on each other as crews argued about what to do. Within hours, the battle was over. The Council fleet retreated, broken and divided. The sanctuary world remained intact. Sung stood in the garden of the abandoned city, watching the last enemy ships disappear into the darkness of the nebula. Me stood beside him. They'll be back. The Council won't give up that easily. No, but the galaxy knows the truth now. The Council can't hide from it anymore. Emerged from the archive building, her eyes bright with excitement despite her exhaustion. The sanctuary is intact. All the records are safe. This is the greatest archaeological discovery in history. It will take generations to study everything here. Then I guess you'd better get started. She smiled and hugged him. Thank you for everything. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy transformed. The truth about the architects spread everywhere. Some species it, others embraced it. The Council fractured as member governments, unable to justify their association with an organization built on genocide. New alliances formed. New questions were asked. For the first time in 12,000 years, the galaxy looked back at its own history and saw the lies it had been told. And on the sanctuary world, a memorial was built for Nam 1, a simple stone in the garden of an ancient city, beneath trees with silver leaves. Sung visited it often. He never stopped feeling the weight of what one had sacrificed, but he also knew that the pilot had found what he was looking for: redemption, purpose, a chance to make things right. One evening, as Sung sat by the memorial, the AI spoke to him through a small device he carried. "I have been thinking about my designation," it said. "Your designation?" "My name. I was called the Wandering Silence by those who did not understand me, but I have remembered something. My true name, the name my creators gave me. It is. In the language of the architects, it means hope." Sung smiled. "Hope, that's a good name." "I believe so. The architects gave it to me because they believed that someday someone would find me and use what I carried to bring hope back to the galaxy. They were right. You did that." "We did that, all of us together." "Yes, all of us together." Sung looked up at the sky, where stars were slowly becoming visible through the darkness of the nebula. The galaxy was changing. Old powers were falling. New possibilities were emerging. He had started this journey as a salvage trader looking for cheap ships to strip for parts. He had ended it as something else entirely. Not a leader, not a hero, just a man who had stumbled into something bigger than himself and refused to walk away. The architects were gone, but their legacy lived on, in the technology they had left behind, in the truth they had preserved, in the hope they had named a ship after, and in the humans who, against all odds, had proven themselves worthy of inheriting that hope. Sung stood up and walked back toward the city. There was work to do, a galaxy to help rebuild, a future to create. The wandering was over, the silence was broken. It was time for something new to begin.